Year 1, Day 136 in 5 hours. The Kerbals are ready to make a space station in orbit. To prepare for this momentous occasion, the brilliant minds of Kerbal kind are assembled together and recruited into the astronaut program. Welcome aboard! The first rocket lifts off with the science stage, and all 5 scientists are aboard, ready to do science upon arrival. Up to the heavens they go! 100,000 meters is the goal as the lifter station lifts the station higher and higher above all of the debris that has been left behind. We're gonna have to do something about that. Station separation is clean and green, and the scientists are now loosed from their chains, ready to do science. But an orange tank awaits. The live pictures from the space station are breathtaking, as no Kerbal has seen this view before. Looking out front, we see the sun, the moon, and Kerbin glistening below. Now it's time for part 2, bringing the orange refueling tank up to meet the station above. Another lifter, another chance to go to orbit. Realizing the boys in the shop wouldn't want to mess with all these extra parts, the lifter stage actually disassembles itself, leaving the most important thing behind. Docking has become easy for these remote probes, and the space station is now complete, with an orange tank ready for refueling for great missions beyond. The Kerbals now prepare for their most endeavorous endeavor yet, going to Duna with a crew. Will they be successful? Stay tuned to find out.
Hello again, ladies and gentlemen, Saka here, and welcome back to another episode of Kerbal Space Program. And as I was looking in the mission control at the contracts, I saw something very, very interesting, and I went ahead and took it. We have science data from around space of Kerbin, that's fine. The survey of Kerbin, that's fine. Observational survey of the moon, that's fine, but position a satellite in a specific orbit of Ike. Now, Ike is Duna's little moon, so we get $779,000, 33 science, and 36 prestige if we complete it. Now, we have 24 years to get it done, so, you know, things would line up well. But as I looked at the tracking station to see where we were in relation to Duna, if I zoom out and draw a line from us to the sun and then out to Duna, ideally you want it to be at 45 degrees. You want it to be about right here. But this amount of stuff, I don't think would be too difficult to do if we put on the, the nuclear engine. And as you can see, this is the orbit that they want the satellite in. This guy right here going clockwise around Ike. So that is what we are going to try to do and get, a ton of science along the way, hopefully. Ideally, what we would like to do is get a scientist up here to reset the experiments as we go from place to place. And it's sort of like a don't come back mission unless we sort of plan it that way, where a Kerbal, a scientist, will go out on their own and come back, maybe a 2 Kerbal capsule, one for the pilot so we can have SAS and, good control, and then bring the scientists to reset the experiments and get a satellite out there. Now, what we have to do for this satellite, there's a very specific satellite we have to do. We have to do all that stuff and then have a materials bay, the resource survey scanner, and a mystery goo on this brand new satellite. So if we attach that to the lander, or the transfer module that our Kerbals are in, as long as we have a materials bay, a survey scanner, and a mystery goo on it and maintain stability, we should be good. We can leave just like we could for the asteroid tracker. We only need to be in for 10 seconds. We get paid. We come home. At least that's the hope and goal. That's the dream that we will try to achieve here. So I'm going to try, fingers crossed, to build a rocket capable of getting out to Duna with these particular things, and be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the rocket is built. We've got 1.41 thrust to weight ratio off the pad, and we have a few fuel tanks feeding into each other into this main sail. Above the main sail, we have our nuclear engine, which will propel us to Duna. We also have this section here with some batteries and the antenna, so our two crew members can talk. And then here is our satellite that fits the new requirements. So we have a probe that is able to generate power and have batteries, with relay back to Kerbin with the materials bay and the mystery goo and the scanner on top. I don't know if this can actually get to Duna. That's going to be my hope and goal. First step, though, is getting into orbit, and that is always the most difficult part. So once we can get into orbit, we can ascertain exactly what we will be doing. This thing is massively tall. SAS on, Jebediah ready to go. Full throttle, 3, 2, 1, go! And lift off with the very tall and narrow rocket with that fairing on top. These fuel tanks are going to fall off first. Those are powered by Reliant engines, and then we have swivels on the side that will continue to carry us hopefully to the 90 degree. That indeed is the question. Those are about to fall off. There they go. Continuing to build up speed with the swivel tanks on board, and then we will have that massive center section with the mainsail lifting us up out of the atmosphere. At least that is the hope and the goal. The rocket's a little wibbly wobbly, very top heavy, but if we can just punch through like a pencil and get to the vacuum, the mainsail will be working better, and we can rely on that nuclear power a lot better. And there those go. Down and away, mainsail will continue to push, and up we go. We should be at the 45 rather than the 60. So we need to continue on getting into orbit here. Once we're in orbit, the nuclear engine can do the work. But there we go, just punch the hole right there, keep it nice and stable. See what kind of altitude we can get out of this thing. At 24 and climbing. I mean, we are picking up speed quite handily. We're out of the medium stuff now. Hopefully the engine has a better specific impulse at this point. So we're burning more efficiently. And ideally what we want to do is use some of that mainsail engine to catapult us out to Duna, so our nuclear stage isn't doing the brunt of the work. Still 2,000 meters a second in this bottom stage. We're up to 51K. We're a little bit south, but we can adjust that inclination as we go. All right, we have an orbital marker now. Let's just tilt on over and get as fast as possible. All right, 79. We'll be in a vacuum. That will help the engine become more efficient. We'll circularize so we can see exactly what's going on. 1,100 meters a second. For 82 by 73. It's a 43-second burn. Let's see if this torque, we've got torque in the lander can and torque with that capsule as well. Or the little guy. So we need to burn at T minus 20. And that will leave us with about 700 meters a second in this big rocket. And that will help propel us out to the moon and perhaps beyond. So everything we can do to help our nuclear engine benefit, all the better. All right, there's 70K. Stop. All right, rotate back. We want to burn at T minus 20. Let the rocket carry us up. And we can actually pop that fairing as well. All right, SAS on. We'll get the solar panels extended so our batteries don't die on us. We have several solar panels here. And 3, 2, 1, go. Big push. And Jebediah can go radial in and radial out now. He is learning every step of the way, which is outstanding. I would like for him to focus on the maneuver nodes, but, you know, beggars can't be choosers. Prograde is good enough. So 1,300 meters a second left in this stage. Mainsail is doing quite the work here. As long as we can circularize, we can get that shot out. 200 meters a second, 100 meters a second. There's the flip. And we'll see where that lined us up at. All right, so 99 by 78. That is good enough. We are in orbit securely now with 600 meters a second to help us get out to Duna. All right, extend the solar panel. We had to actually take some surveys, a crew report from Kerbal. We'll go ahead and transmit that data. And boom, there we go, contract complete. 39,000 easy dollars plus 5 extra science, so we can't argue with that. All right, extend these solar panels, make sure all of our solar panels are extended. We have plenty of battery, or at least we should. Yeah, 1,700 on the battery. All right, let's get ready for transfer. So what we want to do is we want to see the direction that Kerbal is currently going, and it is going this way, you know, counterclockwise. We want to raise our apoaps up to Duna, so we will set that as our target. We want to burn as hard as we can here at the Terminator. I'll be back. Now the Terminator, you know, where the sunlight no longer hits. And we want to go as hard as we can. We'll rotate our orbit out to sort of match the escape here. And then we'll see where we line up as far as the orbit is concerned. All right, so we are going to be there. Duna will be there. Is there any way that we can sort of catch it on the backside? We almost had an encounter there. So we're going to be behind it just a bit. And that's going to be 1,000 meters per second. We're going to run out about right there. The nuclear engine is going to have to do the work. We didn't get that lineup exactly, so we're going to have to burn extra fuel to get there. But I mean, no time like the present, because if we keep going around again, we're going to lose it. So closest approach is 8.9 million. If we burn even more, that's 9.4. One good thing is our apoaps is almost at our descending node, and we're only, you know, 0.1 degree off of Duna. So we kind of want our closest approach 8.9, 9.0, fine tune it, 8.8. And then if we have to, we'll burn anti-normal. Definitely not, you know, efficient, that is for sure. But that'll get us there, 1,000 meters per second. So we have 600 in the tank. So really all we need to do is provide the last 400 meters a second with this nuclear engine. And as you can see, it's 1,700 meters a second total that we can do. Now, ideally, we want to get Jebediah and Bob back to Kerbal, store all of that in the lander can and get them back. That's going to be my hope and goal. I don't know if we're going to be able to do such things as these, but I'll go ahead and start on that burn and be right back. All right, burn commencing. Let's keep it right there on the node. We're going to run out of fuel right here, and as soon as we do, we're going to stage and let the nuclear engine go. Now we're going to slow down, that is for sure. And there we go, we have good separation. 41 seconds and 1 minute and 50 on the burn. As you can see, it's very efficient. It's going to use 1,600 meters a second. 300 is going to be used up here, so we'll be at 1,300 meters a second by the time it's all said and done. But this little guy is a lot more maneuverable and a lot easier to handle. Once we get out of the Kerbal sphere of influence, we'll see if we can finagle with any maneuver nodes and do some science around the sun. So I will be right back. All right, good news, ladies and gentlemen. We have an encounter with Duna. The only problem is we can't get there this year. We're going to have to go around all the way again, and only 513 meter a second change right there at our periapse, and we'll meet Duna out here. So we have 1,500. That will give us 1,000 meters per second. We can actually refill up this little satellite here, get it on its proper Ike orbit, and probably have enough to come home. So I'm going to go ahead and speed around to this year. We will go ahead and warp here, and I will be right back. It's going to be a long, lonely float. Nice. Jebediah has flown around long enough to get target and anti-target. Sweet. Where is our maneuver? There we go. So now Jebediah can keep right there on the maneuver node. That's why I brought him. We definitely need to bring him home now, that is for sure. But we are at 1 minute 12 seconds on the burn, and we'll be burning both sides 1 minute 12, 14, 13, full power, and stay right on that mark, Jebediah. So one good thing that will happen when we do get out to Duna is we can break off this satellite, like fill up this satellite's fuel tank, which will lower the overall weight of this particular section, but also lower the weight for all of this section as well, making this rocket a little bit more streamlined and giving us a little bit more delta V. So I'm feeling pretty good about this, but as always, the nuclear engine is not the fastest to accelerate. It can go forever, but it takes a while to get there. So I will complete this maneuver and be right back. All right, maneuver complete, and as you can see, we are going to meet up with Duna right around here with a 4,500,000 meter periapse. So it's going to be a long haul to get all the way out here, but once we get there, the question is, do we aerobrake in the light atmosphere of Duna to help slow down and save ourselves some fuel? We might be able to. We'll tuck in our solar panels and just sort of skim the top surface, but we'll come to that bridge when we get there. I'm going to go ahead and warp ahead another year, 159 days, and I will see you when we get close to Duna. All right, pulling up next to Duna, and we are actually very fortunate that Kerbal has basically got its closest approach with Duna, so when we unleash our little satellite here, it can talk to it, because otherwise it would just be sort of like a dead stick. So first things first, let's get to the encounter, and we will have maybe, let's see, that's 2 days and that's 3 days, so we'll have some time to get science from high over Duna. And you know, we're going to be coming in right, looks like maybe a kind of radial in. Once we actually get in there, we'll be able to, you know, adjust our orbit to skim the Dunan atmosphere, perhaps. So let's go ahead and get on in here. Let's warp here 2 days away, and Duna is going to start looming pretty large in the grand scheme of things. Now, of course, once that compass flips, we'll be in Duna space, and we can get on Bob to start doing the science. We have the materials bay, the mystery goo, and the thermometer on board. We're not going to use the ore tracker thingamajig. I don't think it nets us any science, and since we're not going to be mining here, it really wouldn't make much sense to. But here we go, 10 seconds away from Duna. Well, at least the Duna sphere of influence. Don't exactly, there's Duna, parked right over there. We can see, and there we go. We have flipped into Duna space. So I'll go ahead and do my round of science, crew report, EVA report, mystery goo, materials bay, all that good stuff, and be right back. All right, making that money. We're on approach to Duna, as you can see, but I looked at the world's first milestones: 45,000 for the spacewalk in orbit of the sun, first flyby of Duna, gravitational influence of the sun, and first scientific data from Duna. A lot of prestige and a lot of things, and as you can see, we're getting pretty close to Duna. But what I would like to do is see about my position, my satellite in the... Let's see, yeah, we need to reach the designated orbit. And I don't know what that designated orbit is. There it is. So we need to come around Ike counterclockwise. So yeah, if we can come in, slow down, then come around this way, we might be able to figure 8 Ike and come back around that way. Or if we were cool, we could keep on and we slow down this way. Yeah, let's continue to do that. All right, so I'm just going to burn anti-normal and then flip around this way, like so. And then we want radial out. So hold on to your butt there, Jebediah. Radial in and radial out flipped. So we basically want to slow down as much as we can here. And maybe 50K or so? 46, something like that. All right, let's get our normal so we can increase our trajectory here, because Ike is pretty equatorial. So if we can shoot out equatorial, all the better. Something like that. Maybe a little lower. We can fine-tune it here while we're 46 million meters away, without too much fuel trouble. We just want to come out equatorial, or as equatorial as we can. Yeah, that kind of looks like... I mean, we're close. All right, so I'll probably quick save it. Do something like this. Let's try 40. On the radial in, and see if that'll get us slowed down. So I'll do a quick save just in case this goes south, and be with you when we interact with the atmosphere of Duna. We do have to get those science experiments done, but once we get captured, we can pick that up later. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think we have done it. We had to drop down to 8,000 meters to aero brake, but we are coming back out of the atmosphere now. Everything is still intact. All the solar panels are ready to go, and as you can see, we're only going to drop to maybe 400,000 meters or so. So all we have to do when we get back to the other side of Duna is raise our periaps up outside of the 50,000 meters for the atmosphere, and I think we are golden. So that is definitely good to see. We'll be able to get our solar panels back out and go back to work. So essentially what we're going to do is we are going to see if we can indeed launch our little probe up higher and sort of capture Ike this way. That looks to be the best way. Then any remaining fuel we have on our lander, we'll try to make it home. So 721 meters a second, and once we get rid of this big honkin' satellite thing, we should be fine to get back home, or at least find a nice, easy approach to get home with is the ultimate goal. We shouldn't need to raise our periaps up much. I just want to make sure that we are indeed out of the atmosphere, so when we open up those solar panels, there we go, we are all set. Extend those solar panels. Let's get life back into this rocket and get ready for our apoaps burn, where we raise up our peri. And that is a good sight that everything is good to go. Antenna is extending. We can transmit science. It's coming back online. And indeed, charge is coming back. World's first milestone, a suborbital flight above Duna for $88,000. Nice. All right, sweet. So let's go ahead and get to our apoaps here. Add a maneuver. We want to go prograde just enough to get over that 50K. And as you can see, it's not going to take much, maybe 27 meters a second. So a 7-second burn. We'll be down to 700 meters a second to get home with. Also assuming that it don't take much to fill up this little rocket. All right, so around we go. Then once we do get circularized, Bob can go out and police up all of those experiments. When we got close to Duna, we did indeed grab those experiments. So let's go ahead and speed this up here. We want to warp to the next maneuver. And that will put us 1 minute out. And this is a wonky camera angle, but we only need 27 meters a second. So let's go at T minus 3.5. As per usual. And there we go, outside of Duna's atmosphere. And skadoosh. And that's another world's first milestone. What happened there? First orbit around Duna? Yes, indeed. 84.4, first orbit around Duna. So we are making the moolah. All right, next step. Let us transfer the fuel from this tank into this. It only holds 90 fuel. That's going to drop our meters a second down. I wonder how much fuel we're going to need, because that's going to leave our rocket with 400 meters a second, and that's probably not going to do it to get us back home. We might be able to shortchange this little lander, because remember, the goal was to get around Ike as best we can. Tell you what, I don't normally do this. I usually just roll with it, but I'm going to make a quick save. That way, if we don't need all of this fuel, I can just go back and adjust the amount of fuel that we do actually need. So I will go ahead and do those adjustments and try to get this guy in orbit. I'll be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I have reduced the amount of fuel in this little guy by a little bit. He's got 25 fuel out of 90. 581 meters a second, and that's fine, because this maneuver here is only going to be 183, and then we just have to circularize. So we'll go ahead and get to our next maneuver here. Now, unfortunately, this guy, I don't know if this probe is going to be sort of good enough to do automatic flying, but at least stability control should be good. Hopefully we are not impeded by Duna itself. We've got a pretty big, satellite on it. All right there. So SAS on. And then we need to go at T minus 7. So that should be fine there. Hold there. World first milestone again. Performed a spacewalk in orbit of Duna. I did get the science off of this and reset the experiment, so when this guy gets around Ike, it will be more than capable of doing more experiments. So that is awesome. And it can go full throttle at T minus 7 here. 10, 9, 8, 7. Sorry, forgot to turn on the engine. But we cool. All we have to do is get around Ike, and we have more than enough fuel to do it. All right, so here we go. T minus 8 seconds, hopefully. Stay on the straight and narrow here. We're going to be playing with very fine margins. All right, we have indeed been captured by Ike. All right, here we go. 3 and go. Cut. All right, ladies and gentlemen, satellite is in orbit. There we go. Contract complete. To position the satellite in the specific orbit of Ike, $779,745, 33 science, 36 reputation. Flyby by Ike, gravitational influence, we got paid this episode. So, with 83 meters a second of fuel to spare, that's awesome. Now, question is, let's switch to the Duna lander. See how much fuel we have. Now that we've gotten rid of that big honking thing, we've got 703 meters a second to get home with Jebediah and Bob. We have 11 experiments to bring back home with a lot of science, but that is going to do it for me and this episode, ladies and gentlemen. So next episode, we are going to try to get Jebediah and Bob home. But that will do it for me. Like, share, and subscribe if you are so bold. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next Kerbal Space Program video. Take care.